Something important to know about demons and the fallen angels is that they have no choice but to harm us. They are told lies, and their parents are fallen angels, but they are told we are the enemy, and they get rewarded and promoted for taking us out. But I'm talking about something beyond that. Something which I haven't heard anyone else mention, but it's extremely important. And why, even if they wanted to, I don't think that they could change their ways or repent. I truly don't. I've tried everything. I wrote up a contract for them. I've tried to offer them forgiveness in another way. And they just double down. But the thing is that they have to. And their very existence relies on them getting us. And I have my evidences, I have my proof, but also just the nature and the way they are created. So the fallen angels were angels who had children with human women. And this was a big sin to God. This is possibly the first sin recorded, if you look at the story of Eve. And the word beguiled being used, which was a stronger word than would be used to refer to taking a fruit. It was like she gave something else in exchange, possibly genetic information. And when you look at what happened next, and we have Cain and Abel, and how Cain's countenance is specifically covered in the Bible as changing, and certain people being described as serpent people in your Bible. And then seeing serpent people myself, then I tend to believe this, and then I see that translation of the Bible is likely correct. However, these demons that were created were probably made using genetic engineering, angel technology. The angels are super advanced. They have all the technology that could ever exist, short of being God. God is above all, and God controls all things. But the angels were like given the keys to the kingdom. They had the ability to design and make humans out of the dust. And God breathed life into them. God breathed life into us. But the angels were given the ability to design humans. And oftentimes, they would even design us to look like them. Like where we have different races and different ethnicities. The angels too look different. And they would design us differently based on how they looked. Like endearing. And remember that most of the angels were good. And the most of the angels help us and love us. And actually really respect us. 2/3 of the angels are our heroes. And we don't thank them, we thank God. But they are lovely, beautiful creatures. However, 1/3 of those angels disobeyed God and they fell. And the sin that is referred to in the Old Testament is by having hybrid offspring with human women. This point is raised again and again throughout the Bible. It's usually just a sentence, without context and without detail. And there are other books that used to be in the Bible that really go into a lot of detail about this topic and what happened, but they were removed later. There was a period of time, I think it was in the 1600s, where everything that was just like mythical or too crazy or seemed too magical was removed from the Bible. And there were books that were previously in the Bible that were taken out. And we know this by looking in the Ethiopian Bible, which was never changed, possibly the oldest Bible that we know of, having the Book of Enoch, and it was never removed. And the Book of Enoch describes these fallen angels, what they did, what their punishment was. And we know that this was in all of our Christian Bibles too. Before some like crazy religious people decided they knew better than God and what should and should not be in the Bible. So, we know the fallen angels had children with human women because we had to bear them so that they could live, breathe, and survive on the earth. Now the angels were usually transgender, but they were able to take their DNA, using technology, combine it with our DNA, alter it, edit it, so that it would be a creature that could survive on earth and then place that embryo into a human woman's womb. And the woman would have to agree. It's just a spiritual law. We have to agree with any sin to be held accountable for it. And they're not allowed to do anything unless we come into agreement with it. This is a law that God has sent down. They have a lot of power, but we actually have more power. They cannot do a single thing to us if we don't let them. So another human has to agree to start a war. So the fallen angel might tempt a human, like a leader, a king, a president, to go to war. But if that leader refuses, then we're not going to war. They can't force it. So we have to come into agreement. And yes, they do scare us, intimidate us, threaten our lives. But before they do that, they offer us wealth. And often they give those people the leadership positions of authority, money, wealth. This is really popular in the music industry and entertainment industry. But I'm going to go back to our main point here, which was the hybrid children. The hybrid children, the ungodly union between angels and human women. Okay? So if they're made in a lab, a very advanced lab with angel technology, where they can edit and tweak every last detail, do you think that they're just putting our information together randomly and seeing what comes out? Or do you think they're controlling and molding and creating exactly what they want? And so this is the point I'm trying to make, is that the type of children that they made were not just any children. They actually created children whose very survival and their existence required that they harm us and cause us to sin. They were created in a way to where we need air, we need food, we need water. They need to hurt other people. They need to cause humans to sin. They are made in a way where they're not connected to God. They have no empathy or compassion. Their fallen angel parents created these demons in a way where they don't have the ability to love. And if they don't harm us and cause us to sin, then they die. Guys, I need you to understand this. Now, if you look at the serpent Nephilims and the way that they function, one thing that you'll find often in these Nephilims or in highly possessed people is that they come down with autoimmune diseases. So, for example, my high-level demon that I was fake married to would get Guillain-Barré. Now, Guillain-Barré is very uncommon, it's very rare. And it's an autoimmune disease where the body attacks itself. It usually comes about as a result of something here, but even then, you get it once and you never get it again. So it's extremely rare. 1 out of 100,000 people get it, and then they usually never get it again. And 1 out of 1,000,000 get it twice. So here's my ex-husband, the serpent Nephilim, and he got Guillain-Barré, and this was when our children were very young. He got Guillain-Barré, and he would have to go in for treatment. He had to have plasma exchange, where they basically removed all of the plasma from his body and then had to replace it and put new in. Okay, and before I believe he fully sold out, he was being forced to do bad things to me and our children. It wasn't him. The demons would pop into him. They would pop into him. And then the children and I and him, we all got really sick. We all lost a bunch of weight. And we were all having health problems. And then he was slamming his head in the wall, saying he didn't want to live anymore. And I have an idea. I had a thought that maybe he believed that if he died, then what was happening to me and the children would stop. If he was dead and he didn't exist anymore, then bad things would stop happening to me and our children. But the unfortunate thing is that when he was gone, there was just no restrictor. The bad things that were happening to us just continued and got worse. And I actually think some of these demons kind of liked me. I really do. And so we all got really sick, and then after we lost a bunch of weight, and he had Guillain-Barré, and so he was losing almost the ability to walk. He had to walk really weird from this autoimmune disease. And I was having some numbing some numbness and like tingling too, but it wasn't that bad. Like he was having a lot worse symptoms. But then the kids were like their leg muscles got really skinny for a while, and like they were like losing muscle. And I moved them upstairs and I kept them out of the downstairs. So possibly there was something poisonous placed downstairs, or our food was being tampered with. But none of us were doing great for a period of time. And there was black mold in the house, which I identified and I mentioned, and everyone disagreed and argued me, and they did not believe it. It turned out there was black mold in the house. That was remediated, and it was all cleaned up. But, you know, my ex would argue me this over and over again because he knew that it was something else. Something else had been done to us. I think that we were all being poisoned. Like, I would have a lot of pain in my kidney. I would have some internal bleeding. The children looked bad for a period of time, and then they did get better after. But I'm saying is that he got Guillain-Barré, and so this was done to all of us, even consuming his own body. Okay, and then after we went through this for a couple months, then he was okay, and he got healthier, and he was revived, and then we were okay too. So it's like he did his bad deed so that he wouldn't die, and then was able to lay off. And then, I don't know, maybe 5-10 years later, his Guillain-Barré came back. Now, let's say 1 out of 100,000 people get Guillain-Barré as a side effect of this thing here, okay? And then out of those, 1 out of 1,000,000 get Guillain-Barré again. Something insane like that, okay? He got Guillain-Barré again. So at this point, like, then he had to start, like, doing worse sins. I think possibly this is when I had the feds called to my house for terror attacks, you know, this type of thing. Okay. Now, a couple of months before our relationship ended, and this is the thing, as I do think that some of those demons, I think the serpent actually liked me. I really do. But by their nature, they had to destroy my life. And he came to me. He was talking to me in a calm voice. And he was kind of upset. And he was like, I've got Guillain-Barré again. And so this is before the discard, and he was telling me he had Guillain-Barré again. And so then all of the torture and the poisoning and everything to me, like, it was just right after then he was like telling me that he had to do this. I don't know if you guys understand this, but it's very sad. If God didn't force us to separate, probably wouldn't have happened. But obviously you do not want to be married to a Nephilim. Any human is better. Any human is better than a Nephilim, but you know, that's the thing with me, is that I never want to give up. Even if with what I'm with is like a trash can. It's like a void where you throw all your care and your emotions, your energy and time, and it's just like a trash can, and it's just wasted. But it was really sad because he was being nice and he was being honest too. Like, my Guillain-Barré's come back again, and he was nice. And then after that, it was like poison, you know, try to kill me, try to destroy me, just like, then he went and tried to see a bunch of like people on these apps, and just anything that he could do, because if he hurt me enough, then his Guillain-Barré would go away. In this case, the Guillain-Barré was his body attacking itself. So there's two ways that this happens. They need to attack us for them to survive, where we need to breathe air so that we live. We need to drink water so we live. We need to eat food. The demons and the Nephilim are created in a way where they have to hurt us. They have to force us to sin in order to survive, for them to live. Or their body starts to break itself down. They make this venom inside of their bodies. So the serpents make venom. And then once they get too much, that venom starts poisoning them and they die. So they have to release that venom spiritually into us by harming us. If they're unable to release that venom or that negative energy, then they die. So this is how they're made. They're also created in a way where their joy and happiness comes from us getting hurt. They don't get joy and happiness from normal things that we do. They have to fake that joy. They have to fake these emotions. They're specifically designed so they don't have the normal reactions to things that we do. And so that when they get truly happy, it's only from causing a human to sin. It's only from watching another being suffer. So this is one reason I do feel really bad for them. Is even if they wanted to be with us, if you could somehow get through to them, they would still have to attack you. They don't have another choice. If they're too nice to you, they die. Their bodies literally consume themselves. They poison themselves to death. For them to be with you, for them to actually make the choice to be with you and not hurt you, then they would have to commit suicide. Guys, this is the seriousness of the fact. And that's why I hope that when we move on to the new earth, they stay behind and get new bodies. Where they actually have a chance. They actually do have free will. So, I wonder if this gets through to anyone. If anyone learns anything, please like, share, and subscribe. Or dislike if you don't like it, whatever. But guys, thanks for listening. God bless you all.